Good morning, folks. I don't really feel much like doing this today. Really just want to be on the other channel talking about the Bible and reading it. The problem is I haven't read it enough yesterday. Get too busy with worldly affairs and taking care of myself and fail to read the Bible, which is taking care of myself. But welcome to the Dr. Kent Show. This is going to be number 102. Did pretty good with Awakening Israel yesterday. I'm pretty happy with the progression on that, going into the prophets the way I have with that, and well, the way we have. I would like to get some comments, get more feedback. I haven't kept up with the news much. They do seem to keep us entertained, don't they? They do seem to keep us diverted from what's important. And above all, they keep you fearful. As much fear as they can get into you, they do. I've had some unusual experience lately, and it's been growth time for me. It really has, to understand the rackets that are on the planet and the problems that are going on. It is really a world based upon deception, keeping people distracted. So here we go into the big circuses and all that stuff, right? I mean, we're putting on the show for the world called the Super Bowl from the National Football League, which people are going to be betting on. And because they rig those games up and rig stuff up, and it's legal for them to do that, why should it be legal to allow people to even bet on it? I'm sorry, but there's no real chance there. It's just whether or not you guess which way the bookies want to go, and they probably got things wired up to the point where they know which way they can make the most money. It's a scam. I don't like it. Oh, and the big deal is there's two brothers playing in the Super Bowl. Well, I guess the guy's referring to two actual blood brothers, two actual brothers by the same father. And I don't know if I think they're playing on opposite teams. I'm not sure about that. But, you know, Mr. Lemon's got to be the racist he is and talk about the first time two brothers are going to be facing each other off in the Super Bowl. And, of course, it comes out as two Negroes are fighting each other in the Super Bowl for the first time. We got two black men fighting in the Super Bowl. Oh, we got to watch that. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to watch it. And I might end up stumbling upon it. It'll be the only football game I watch all year long, though, I'll assure you of that, because I haven't watched any others. It's not worth watching anymore. There's very little worth attending to. We have problems with health, problems with wealth, legal problems out the butt. I mean, this world has become something kind of weird. And then we've got the rich and not famous. And the rich and famous are busy mesmerizing us and just diverting us so we don't look at the guys behind the scenes, the puppet masters, the people pulling the strings. Oh, it's a really strange world, and there are rackets all the way around. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that there's some honest business practices, but the real thing that bothers me is that, you know, this thing about insurance. It started as a racket, as the strong arm business, as the protection racket, the protection business, the sheriff of Nottingham. So you'll pay me to protect you, or in New York City, you'll pay me to protect you, or I'm going to put a rock through the plate glass window on your business. And if that doesn't do it, I'm going to beat you up. And if that doesn't do it, I'm going to break your legs. Wow. Weird. My mind works in some weird ways at times. It reminds me of when the shepherd breaks the lamb's leg so it won't wander from the herd anymore. That's a twisted application, and I got to admit it. And that's where my consciousness went, and I'm sharing it with you. I am. They're doing things to us mentally which are just absolutely horrible. And I can't tell you what's going on. The psychological operations, the programs, the machinery that they have in place is stuff that they kept out of the textbooks and kept us from looking at as psychologists. I guess if you were on the inside, then you got access to it. Now, in case you're wondering, the field of psychology is corrupt as hell. And the liberals in psychology have done the most damage possible to this nation. I think they've done more damage than even the attorneys or even the doctors. Except the doctors are actually whacking people. And the attorneys aren't, well, every profession's got its problems. The biggest problem is that we are in a civilization that requires license, a permission slip from the government to work. That needs to end. And you may say it protects the public. No, it protects the people in power. It protects the politicians. It's not protecting the public. Hell, I've watched my board not investigate things that I brought to their attention. Or they did it in a fashion to cover up for their governor who had appointed them. That was Governor Janet Napolitano. And what did she do? She appointed her, I don't know if I want to call it wife, or husband. She appointed her spouse, I guess that's the neutral term, to a cabinet position beneath her, which according to Arizona law was illegal as hell. But because people are, I don't know what to say, not open-minded, they didn't catch it. They didn't want to see it. They didn't want to address the reality. And those two bitches bilked the Department of Corrections for all they could. The bilking over there at the Department of Corrections continues to go on. The governor gets the largesse. Yeah, it's corrupt as hell. And we consider it corrections, Department of Corruption. I don't know how much money goes off the books there and how much is trading hands based upon the frauds they practice in the Arizona Department of Corrections. But I can tell you it's probably way over $1 million a year. Right now it doesn't seem like much money, but it was enough so that a previous Secretary of the Interior was able to run for the presidency against Mr. Clinton. Of course, he lost. Why? Well, the corruption from the Department of Corrections, the money they made off their scam on the lock deal, he only got $1 million for his campaign. And Bill Clinton had $10 million for his campaign that he got from the Mena, Arkansas dope deals. That was his 10% take. So he used that, and he beat out the other guy in the primaries. And ever since then, your governors have been corrupt as hell. Somebody said that the long-standing tradition of governors going to prison in Arizona isn't done yet. Man, what a Lulu they have right now. And this one gets to go to Perryville. Oh, boy. Within 3 years, she'll be looking at the inside of a jail cell. She'll be in the penitentiary for what she did. What they did in Arizona was horrible. It's a guy named Adrian Fontes. His election is being challenged as well. In the year 2016, he set up the theft system whereby he just kept recounting the ballot, recounting the vote, kept recounting it until he got the results he wanted. And as one of his results, he got Goofy, this tall, stringy-looking chick who pushes lesbian stuff all over the place. So she must be pretty twisted up to do that, to sexually exploit the children. That's what it is. It's educational abuse. It's sex abuse. It's child abuse. It's child exploitation. Kathy Hoffman. And she got away with that bullshit. Man, I want to pull the plug on education at this point. I don't want to fund it at all. That way we don't have to argue about it. Why do there have to be special privileges for children so that they don't get reared properly? That's what it is, improper rearing. Let me give you one example. These kids don't even bother to look when they're crossing the road. Now, when I was being raised, that's one of the things my parents taught us, is you stop and you look and you check. It's called survival. You know Darwin's theory? Survival of the fittest, the strongest, the brightest. I don't want any more school zones. I don't want any more industrial schools. I don't want this child abuse, this educational abuse. And now we've got grooming. And then on top of that, we have the confusion of children. Why? Why do they get to confuse our children? Why do they get to do that? Why do those twisted son of a bitches get to groom the children and screw the children's heads up so that you're going to have more suicides in the future? And I know the gay counselors will say, well, they're going to commit suicide if we don't do some gender, whatever it is, affirmations. Bullshit. Some gender bullshit. Look, folks, the research has been done. They won't bring it to the forefront because it doesn't support their agenda. And the research was basically that you can't raise boys and girls to be the opposite gender with success. You end up with a higher suicide rate. So I look at these sons of a bitches, and I'm thinking you're murderers, child exploitators. I mean, I think we should do an off with the heads kind of motion with them. At least get them out of power. But if that won't work, let's just take apart the public education system, the public school system. Oh, and those people in Texas think they're so big and so mighty, and yet they're the ones that shove down those liberal textbooks. They're the ones that standardize the textbooks and a lot of the testing for the country. Man, that's what they export to the rest of the world, is their stupid-ass, liberal, screwed-up textbooks from Texas. Texas, that's on you. However, the sex stuff, that's on the middle of the country, a place you would never guess. Right in the heartland, a place you would never guess would be the birthplace of perversion. And that state owes the entire world an apology. Indiana, it's on you. You and your Kinsley crap. The guy was twisted. He lied in his research. He conducted fraudulent research purposely to pervert the nation, pervert the world. You go read the Bible, and you're going to hear about the error of Balaam. Now, what the hell is the error of Balaam, right? Well, it's a cute little story, and I guess the funniest part, and the part that will stick in your craw, the part that you will remember, is the talking donkey. Talking jackass, just like these politicians. Jackasses. Balaam's donkey refused to go through the valley, refused to go through the passage. And he was beaten on his donkey. And his donkey said, "Why are you beating me? I've been loyal to you all of these years. Haven't I been loyal to you all these years? Haven't I been faithful to you?" And then Yahweh opens up Balaam's eyes, and he sees an angel standing in the pass or over the pass with a sword in his hand drawn, because he's going to kill Balaam. He's going to put him to death. And he was like, oh my God, this ass of his really knew better than he did and was trying to save his life, was trying to preserve his master's life, her master's life. I guess it's mules that don't have gender. One of those is a half-breed that doesn't reproduce. Must be mules. Cross between a horse and a donkey. Donkeys are vicious. Donkeys hate dogs. Donkeys will kill a dog automatically. It's hard to get a donkey to tolerate a dog. As a matter of fact, when it comes to guarding, a donkey's better than the dog in many ways. They'll bray away, they'll warn you, and they won't hesitate to use their hooves, especially to destroy a wolf or a coyote. Anyway, we got a lot of wolves in the country. We got coyotes coming across that border. They control that border right now. I wouldn't be surprised if the coyotes dictated to President Dickhead in the White House what to do, what his policy is going to be. I bet you they do. I bet you they tell him, open it up, keep it open. It is so corrupt that the guy in the office is paralyzed. He can't do jack shit if he wanted to. He puts on a real good act like he's the tough guy and he's in charge and he's making commands, decisions, whatever. Command decisions. The guy should have been pulled out of office. He never should have been placed in there to begin with. Let me go back to Arizona. Adrian Fontes came up with a really novel, I mean it was masterful, unique plan to count the vote, to manage the ballots. And he kept shuffling through them. He kept delaying it for 6 weeks until he got the senator he wanted in office, until he got the school administrator he wanted in office, until he got the people he wanted in office. And he recently, somehow, got elected to a higher office yet. So he can actually be right in charge of the vote, just like the last bitch was. So she could certify herself in. So there was sabotage in that election. There was real sabotage. And the damn judge, Thompson's too dumb to know it. They put in the wrong size paper. Wasn't a mistake. If it happened to one machine, fine. But you don't do it to every machine in Maricopa County, or 2/3 of them, the majority of them, whatever it was. And they kept rejecting the ballots because they were designed for a different size paper. Pretty slick move on the part of those Democrats. And that jackass, Bill Gates. I know, you think of Bill Gates and you think of the computer jackass, the jab jackass. Bill Gates is also the name of the guy in that county in Arizona that's in charge of the vote. Man, I love it when he gives a presentation. I love it when he speaks to the public. That boy can't hide a thing. He's a lying son of a bitch, and you can tell just by looking at him. You go look at him, and you tell me if you think he's a lying son of a bitch or not. Tell me your general impressions of that attorney, of that counsel, of that supervisor who should have been fired for the elections. That guy, that mouthpiece for them. Is he on the Chi-Com payroll? I don't know. I mean, he's a lying son of a bitch. He shouldn't be allowed to be a dog catcher anyway. I wouldn't trust him to do a damn thing. He is a son of a bitch. He's probably going to end up in prison too. Maybe he could share the cell with... they could have a whole ward, a whole wing of penitentiary dedicated to those people. They screwed our country up. They undermined the country. They undermined it so deeply that I can say that Arizona has destroyed this nation. Arizona is the soft underbelly of the United States of America. Arizona is the 48th state. The last state to become a state on the continent anyway was Arizona. 1912, I think it was. And if you want to know how to look at Arizona, how to understand Arizona, you've got to understand a few things about Arizona. Number one, they don't respect degrees. They don't respect education, and they think that they can lower standards and hire people cheaper, and they can. They can do that. So they lower standards. They hire people that are cheaper. They also let people establish monopolies within the state. There's a monopoly for substance abuse control in the courts. That woman must make, well, she was making $1 million a year 20 years ago. She must be making much more than that. All the treatment has to go through her. And she's not really qualified. She's not even educated to do it. She sets up a racket. I bet there's payoff all over the place on that. Arizona is best regarded as a territory. You remember the old movies of territorial days? The prison in Yuma? That's Arizona today to a very large extent. Then you look at Tombstone, Arizona, and the stories that come out of that place. Those are kind of revered. You need to realize that this was the last place of the West. It wasn't California. California was civilized. Hell's Angels weren't out of California. Hell's Angels were out of Arizona. Oh, what a corrupt people we've become. How we've allowed this thing to be taken down because we don't have any more standards. We're not allowed to have standards because they're racist. You know, I didn't watch the video of them beating that young, I'll call him a man because every time I say boy at my age, it's considered freaking racist. I hate the racists out there, the ones that try to claim I'm a racist. I'm tired of people that pull the race card on me. That's a no-no. You do that shit, I'm in your face. You do that shit, and I'm on to you. I'm not giving up. Yeah. Yeah, you know who I'm talking to out there. You watch my show, I know it. What you need to know today is that all hell is going to go down in Arizona. The people in Arizona are tired of this bullshit. They know. They know who they wanted for their governor. Now, I don't give a damn who they have for governor there. I actually liked the businesswoman. I liked her much better. I did my best to encourage her, and I gave her a tip. I gave her an honest tip. You want to become governor? Here's what you do. And I told her straight up. You call for the establishment, the creation, for the first time ever, of the Arizona militia. You call for the Arizona militia and you point at the part in the Constitution where it's a part of an amendment, no less. And it's also mentioned in another part of the Constitution, not just in the Bill of Rights. But unless you have a militia, you don't have a Second Amendment. And I told you call for a militia, and you task the militia with what was expressly tasked, written in the Constitution. I told her, men will come from all over this nation. And you won't have to say another word. You'll become governor. The response was she didn't want a bloodbath. And I respect that. However, sometimes there has to be a bloodbath. If there is a bloodbath, it won't be for very long. We've already got men dead trying to defend this nation. Men murdered by our own FBI and state police, especially in the state of Oregon. That Governor Kate Brown, she's an accessory to the murder of, man, I want to remember his name so much. Lavoy Finicum. Lavoy Finicum was shot down in cold blood. He got out of the car with his hands up. 2 FBI agents and 2 Oregon State Police cut him down. Why did he get out of the car? Because Lavoie knew they were going to shoot up everybody in that car. He had women in the car. He had innocent people in the car. He wasn't alone. And he told them, everybody else, to stay in the car. And they ducked down. They had to, because they were shooting on him. And he stood up and sacrificed himself with his hands up in the air like that. You got problems with the police state here. They get away with murder. I'm tired of it. People are tired of it. Please don't get me wrong. If I see a boy in blue, and he better be in blue, by God, because if he's in black, I just might turn my back on him. If he's getting slammed badly, if he's under fire and he doesn't have the firepower to take care of it, I would probably step in. But by God, I'm going to be hesitant from now on. It's just like with women out there. We're in public place and you're getting shot on. I'm not going to draw my sidearm to defend you. Why? Because you didn't defend us. You failed in your duties. Oh, guns make me afraid. Oh, they scare me. You shouldn't have guns. Just shut up, lady. Mind your own business. And you better get your own gun, because you're going to need it. Oh, no. I'm not threatening you. I'm not going to do a damn thing. But when that other son of a bitch pulls his gun on you, I don't know what's going on. I'm not getting involved. You voted to take this country down. Oh, and moreover, what I'm pissed off is you voted because it's your body, it's your right to murder my child. It's not your right to murder my child. You never even asked. It's not your body. I will argue it's part the man's body, part my body as well. Because you can't do it on your own. You didn't do it on your own. And when you fail to inform the male, that blood is on you. When you fail to allow the father of the child to take the child and save that child from being murdered and being marketed to these evil, wicked bastards across the whole world at this point, not just in our country. When you allow that, you violate men's rights. Where are our rights? I think it should be the law of the land, and I'm looking forward to the first state that does this, to insist that the male be consented, that the consent of the father be obtained before an abortion can be done. Okay, we're going to say a lot of men don't care. I understand that. A lot of men don't want to hear about you, child, anything. They abandon you. I understand that. But you're not giving anybody a chance. I think that if you can't identify the man, that's another state issue. You want diversity? We have to have it at state level. The states have to be in charge of policies, not the central federal government that's so damn corrupt and mismanages money and can't handle it properly and steals from the rest of the nation. They're a bunch of thieves down there. That's all they are. They and their banking buddies are a bunch of damn robbers. We are ruled by murderers and thieves, and that's all there is to it. I've lost my point. My point is this. If a man has helped conceive a child, if he's fathered a child, that's what it is. If he's fathered a fetus, still part him, still his. I don't care if you call it a fetus or a child. The man has some ownership. Then I think that if you want an abortion as a woman, and the father doesn't want the abortion, and he's willing to take the child and rear that child and save that child from your nasty ass and the horrible way you're going to raise that child anyway to become a criminal, because that's what causes criminality is fatherless parenting. Yeah, I know it's just becoming mainstream news. What is it, 2023? All right, February 1st. Published in 2001, an award-winning article in the Journal of the American Psychologist by Lesko. I hated the title of it, On Parental Licensure. You talk about arguing for increasing the state's power. That's what that jackass did with that title. And go look at the charts in it. You'll see a spike in 1964 in criminality and crimes. Gee, I wonder why. What happened in 1964 that resulted in a spike in criminality? It was higher after that year. Who was president? That murderer, Lyndon Baines Johnson, who had assassinated his own president, was in office. And what did the Supreme Court rule? What did the justices rule that screwed up the nation? You aren't allowed to pray in schools. They literally took prayer out of the schools. And you paid those jackasses wearing the black robes on the bench? They should have been removed. They should have been withheld their pay. Congress has more power than those jackasses have down there. But I hate to tell Congress that they're more powerful when they're so corrupt and so horrible. Congress is the absolute worst institution in the United States of America. You tell me it's got even 10% approval rate, and I'm going to call you a liar. There's not even 8% approval rate on that son of a bitch there. Especially when it's ruled by that bitch Nancy Pelosi. This guy that's in there now is doing a little bit better than I expected. He's to be applauded on a few things. But he was reared, he was mentored by some of those jackasses in the past. We need to return to the Constitution. We really do. We need to return to a proper Senate and a proper House. Still, I want my abortion rights. I want to be able to walk into that courtroom when the judge says, "Do you want the baby?" "Yes, Your Honor, I'll take the child." And I want the judge to order her, "You will have the baby. You will bring the baby to good term and it'll be a healthy baby. Or you will spend time in jail." Maybe we should do prison time on that. That should probably be available because some of these women are so nasty and so horrible and so negligent that they're not going to take care of the baby. And the judge should rule right there on the spot. Custody is awarded fully to the father of the child. And that's it. We should be able to walk in and save our children and not get challenged thereafter. We should not have custody of our children held over our heads anymore by these irritating, errant women. I'm sorry, but they use it as a weapon against us. They don't play fair. It says women were fair in the Bible and the angels decided to go into them all. My God, what the hell did the angels see? Because I don't see anything fair about them. None at this point. They don't. All right, they look fair. Okay, they all look beautiful to me as an old man. I mean, they look just rockin' gorgeous, okay? And I understand somewhat how the angels are. I understand how the angels were tempted. I look at them, and of course, they're all children to me. And don't you go off half-cocked making weird claims. Anybody under the age of 30 to me is a child. You know, not very mature. We men want our children. We men are the only ones that can rear them properly. The studies show conclusively that fatherless parenting results in criminality. 70% of boys reared without their fathers end up in the criminal justice system, whereas only 6% of fathers reared by father, 6% of boys reared by father alone have problems with the criminal justice system. It's the same as an intact family, meaning the same as husband and wife, family intact, rearing the children together. It's only 6%. So tell me, what's in the interest of the child? to become a member of the possible. There's a lot of exceptions. You know, you have to understand stats are stats. That's not individuals. It doesn't apply individually. Nevertheless, do you think the policy should be that custody be awarded automatically to mothers? Oh, and the studies have never been done on girls. And I can assure you they'll never be done. Because if the studies were done on the outcome for girls reared without fathers, the outcome is so much worse that you can bet that mothers would be saying, not only will you take my sons, you'll take my daughters too. That's my guess. I mean, you may think differently. Fine. You're entitled to your opinion. No research has been done. Maybe I'll get shamed on that one. Maybe someplace will do the research. It's longitudinal study. They can avail themselves of records already in existence. They can do it. They can pilot it, mirror it off the original one. That study should be redone anyway. It's time it was updated. Let's get to the facts so we can base public policy on that. One good thing about Arizona was at the University of Arizona down in Tucson, they produced a wonderful little journal, Law, Public Policy and Psychology. I subscribed to it. It was one of the best journals. They really knew their stuff and they really did good work. Unfortunately, it's become flooded with so many libtards at this point that it's pretty biased. So I wouldn't trust them is what I'm getting down to, folks. I tell you, stay away from me and my kind. Stay away from them. Most of them don't know what they're doing. They diagnose you based upon their stress, their distress. They don't understand that they're doing that bullshit. And then on top of it, they have to push the liberal agenda, the communist goals for the country. They have to undermine you. And if you're a conservative, well, you can't be that. You have to be open-minded. You can't have those values. So they'll preach open compassion and respect for other people and their values, but they sure don't practice it. Biggest bunch of hypocrites ever. So you want to become a psychologist. I wish people would discover this channel and would tune in, especially those who want to become psychologists. Because you need to know the racket and the mess that you're in. And sure, you can run the numbers game and you can play it just the way it's dictated to you, or you can help people. What are you going to do? Are you going to run the numbers game, run the racket, and have a little bit of a wage? Or are you going to run the risk and actually serve your clients? Are you going to actually take care of them? Are you going to regard their needs ahead of the profession's needs, ahead of your needs, ahead of your board of psychologist examiners' needs? That's what you ought to be doing. Those people in the boards of psychologists, examiners, aren't worth the powder to blow them to hell, as my mother was fond of saying. I think that came from my grandmother, her mother. Talk about a strong spirit in a little package. Little woman, and she was feisty. Good God. Oh, boy. I need you folks to like my channel, subscribe, like this video. Pass this around and share this. This is Psychology 102. This is Show 102. This is the 1st of February. You will see that I will populate one channel and then the other channel. And I'm going to try to keep the numbers straight this time. I got a strike last time from YouTube and couldn't post on my other channel. So I posted on this channel and I used some letters to keep track of things. And I started off doing okay with those, but the last one wasn't too good in that series. I got some feedback that letter C was better. I guess I might have to go watch that myself. I used to not like the sound of my voice. My hearing I was supposed to go deaf by the time I was age 12. And my hearing's impaired. It was as a result of German measles, secondary infection to German measles. I can't help but wonder if that didn't have anything to do with my medical care at the time. Please read between the lines. I can't say certain things here because those evil folks are in power. This is a very evil time. So we have to duck and cover somewhat. We can't stick our neck and head out of the trenches. At least it gets shot off. We're living at a time in which people are waking up rapidly, which is good. But it's also kind of bad because the guys that are in power don't want to give it up. And they're willing to nuke our asses. And they've got the excuse to do it. They actually have license to do it. How do I mean that? Well, we become Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. You can't deny that. It was all because of Kinsley's stuff out of Indiana, in which he twisted up and he perverted us. That's what the goal of his research was. And it was funded by Hugh Hefner. Yeah, Hugh Hefner funded that shit. Talk about marketing, a packaging and marketing program. You put that into the Kinsey Institute. You put that into the Kinsey report. You put that lying bullshit in there, and you get people believing it. I mean, at that time it was published, I think they were trying to claim 10% of the Congress was homosexual. I think it was really only 4% of the population was homosexual at the time. Anyway, I don't have a problem with mature people with ethics, and some of them form lifetime partnerships. Okay, I got to applaud them. I remember when the Supreme Court did another jackass move and forced gay marriage on us. Yeah, they did that. They made another mistake there. You know, that's bad behavior. They can be taken off the court for that. And they should be. They shouldn't have been able to dictate that. It should have been up to the states. However, we can say it maybe shouldn't even be up to the states. You see, marriage used to be regarded as holy and done before and by God, by the Lord, Yahweh. He consecrated the marriages. And in the past, you used to have your family Bible. And in it would be your birth dates, your dates of death, your dates of marriages, the children. Your family Bible was a document that was admissible in a court of law. You walked in, it was your license. You didn't have to have a marriage license from the state. And the state didn't get involved in your marriage. Not much. Not much at all. Not compared to today. And everything the state touches turns to shit. They ruin everything. Healthcare. I believe it was World War II that they decided to have state marriage licenses. Like other licenses that they proposed at the time, they needed to raise money. And at the end of the war, and the end of the war effort, the license would go away, the fees would go away. Hogwash, that hasn't happened. Licenses are still in place. You're required to do things, pay for things, and you're required to get permission for things you shouldn't have to pay for. I want to eat. I should be able to go out and kill my doggone dinner and eat. Who is the state to say I can't eat? Likewise with fishing. Why can't I go out and snag a fish? Got to be careful. You're in Alaska, man. You don't want to say you snagged a fish. It's not always. Well, some places it's legal, other places it's illegal. I don't want to talk about fishing right now, but oh man. Where was I? We don't need the state involved in our marriages, boys. We don't want the state involved at all. Because the state reams us. They give it right to us. The state hates men. It is systemic discrimination against men. There is systemic racism against Caucasians. And don't go run around calling me white. I'm a Caucasian. That's what I am. And that's what you other white assholes are too. Look, let's face it. They do this stuff to hide the truth from us. They don't want you to know why you're called a Caucasian. You're called a Caucasian because, generally speaking, our ancestors migrated across the Caucasus mountain range. The Caucasus. The Caucasus mountain range, and that was in approximately after 722 BC, after the invasion of our homeland, and our real homeland was the northern house of Israel. That's what they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that you're the real deal, that you're actually an Israelite descendant. And all of these promises apply to you. They don't want you to know who you are, so that the devil and his children can get away with the biggest identity theft in history. That's how I look at it. If you look at it differently, go ahead and put it down in the comments. They don't want you to know you're the real deal, and you're subject to the covenant at Mount Sinai. That is the law that you must abide by. And it'll tell you in the Bible what the blessings are if you follow the law. It's basically natural law. And there's some blessings. And then there's the curses. There's the consequences for disobedience. And they're twice as long as the blessings. And if you read those curses, you will read America today. You will be able to identify the Israelites today. And you got to think of Israel not as a landed nation, but as a people spread all across the islands of the world, all across the continents, spread far and wide. And in case you're wondering what this battle's going on, this big fight, it's not just a communist fight to take over America. America's already communist, folks. You need to wake up and realize that it's happened. They did it from inside. They did a real good job. You had Hollywood selling you on the bullshit idea that you were free. And they dictated the culture to us. They started off with a very wholesome culture. And then they gradually took the culture apart, descended us. Just drop the behavioral levels down, increase the sin level, increase the violations against Yahweh, against the Ten Commandments. And your secret police, they made sure that those of us who stuck our heads and necks out of the trenches got them shot off. That's why they went after some of the great men. There's a lot of great men and women who have been murdered who you don't even know. You'll find out who they are in the future. You'll come to know them and realize that they were right. There's a lot of people that were suitable to be president that have been killed, flat out assassinated. Hell, they took down a whole jet they took down a whole passenger jet aircraft. They killed everybody on the damn thing to get one man. And they haven't done that just one time. They've done it twice that I know of. Ron Brown. They had to get rid of him so the Clintons could be protected again. They took the whole damn airplane down to get to him. And there was a congressman. My God, this guy. I wasn't aware of this man until after he passed. I looked up one of the videos of him. Wow. That guy was going to be president. And that guy was going to do things right. And they had to make sure he didn't make it at all. So they took a whole plane, whole jet plane load, passenger plane. They killed everybody on that thing to get to that one man. Yeah, we're ruled by murderers and thieves, folks. CIA operation on that. CIA hits on a lot of things. You think they don't operate in this country? I was naive and thought that, they only operate abroad. Then I found out from a friend of mine that she used to work at the ATF as a law student. She worked her way through college by working for the ATF, and she was signing off on those doggone tax stamps, those approvals. And she said that every CIA operative got issued a license for a silencer, a suppressor. Every one of them. And they're inside the country. So what were they doing with those things? Folks, we're dealing with a big beast system, a big giant monster. We were warned about it. And then some of this Bible was taken out and hidden from us. So we wouldn't be able to, we can't play fair. We don't have the knowledge that we need. We perish for lack of knowledge. You need to get this book. This is the best Bible to date in the English language. It was 2015, 2019, very recent. And for you out there saying, I only read the King James Bible. This is the King James Bible. However, it's modern English. It's far more accurate, much more accurate. The proper name version of the King James Bible. Cheapest price, take the link down below. There's 5 different formats. Get one before the prices go up. Prices will be going up. That's all there is to it. We want to get them out there as fast as possible. Why? Because I think the Second American Revolution, I think we're being forced to it. And I think the way we fight it is with the Bible. Who was it that told us about the Bible and warned us about them clinging to their guns and their Bibles? Yeah. They're afraid of your Bible more than they're afraid of your guns, because your guns are mindless. They're just damn tools. It's just another hammer in the hand of, what's his name, who hit Pelosi? Man, somebody ought to make a song about that. Maxwell's hammer? Maybe the Beatles were prophetic, huh? Anyway, the only thing I do is sell these Bibles right now. When I can handle more, if I actually get to the point where I can hire other people, I'll definitely be bringing in other products. But I only want to get out there stuff that is important to me, and I want to give you more value than you give me. You're actually getting more value when you get one of these from the publisher. You're going to get more value than what you're giving the publisher. These are priced at approximately half of real true market value. It's actually less than half of true market value. But it's new, and we got to get them out there. So help me with that. I'd like to sell 1 million of them. And as far as leading the rebellion goes, when it comes to reading the Bible and invoking Yahweh's power into doing that, I'm your huckleberry. You bet. You bet. You want this republic back? You ain't doing it without Yahweh, Creator, Father God. You just ain't doing it. That's all there is to it. You read this book, you'll be less prone to being deceived. You'll be better able to stand your ground, to hold your ground. That's 2 more commandments in the Bible that most people don't know about. You have to read it to get to it. Another one I'll share with you, which is very important, and we're going to end on this note, folks. That is love, truth, and justice. Love, truth, and justice. It's commanded throughout the Bible. When I was reading my original first Bible that I read, the NIV version, it was the original study edition, which was decent. Subsequent versions are getting worse all the time. They take things out, hide things all the time in this stuff. Anyway, what jumped out of the page as I was reading during my 3rd read-through was love, truth, and justice. And it's not social justice, it's not economic justice, it's justice. Justice has to be pure. But you can't render justice if you don't know the truth. So you have to love the truth first. Then you can render justice. That's what we need in this country today. But you've got the Stasi running the place. You've got a police state. I mean, the people in Hollywood have got you locked down to the screen and got you brainwashed and mesmerized and have you thinking, yeah, we're the latest and the greatest. And they get the flag out and they talk about all of these people, these men and women that have sacrificed their lives and given their lives for this nation. and how we have to revere them, worship them. Why don't we just put an end to these wars? And we do that by, actually it's quite simple. We show the world who the people are that are behind all these wars. It's a group of people. It's a group of people whose origins are in here, just like our origins are in here. And there's 2 warring factions on the planet. And the rest of the human beings are being thrown at us by the evil ones. That's all there is to it. We're supposed to take this place over. We're supposed to rule it, yes, but not by ourselves, only with the help of God, doing His will, not ours. I know that's a tricky one for you guys. So love, truth, and justice in the American way.